for me, just the lack of ability to put the ball in the net again.
But I do think if you're Johanssons or a Shamadou or a Baker, even one of those, not all three, stayed fit for the season, I think Stoke would have been in a better position. I'm not saying playoffs, but they would have been where
Top 10,
Norwich,
maybe.
where Norwich and Birmingham are easy.
There's been a few people saying Robbins. I'm not sure about Robbins. Really?
I think, by
Can't
the
be
way,
serious, can you?
I think he's got to stay.
I predict a summer of change at Stoke City. And I hope it's not in certain areas, but I predict it will be in quite a few areas.
Backup keeper, right back, left centre back, left back, three midfielders, a 10.
Hello, and welcome back to another podcast episode of Stoke Fan TV with myself, Max, but no Sam today. He's out metal detecting. I don't know, maybe he's hoping to dig up a 20 goal a season striker for next season. You'd never know. You never know. He's probably got more chance of finding the next Staffordshire Horde, hasn't he? Right. Anyway, in today's show, we have a special guest. That's right. Lucas from BBC Radio Stoke. I'm pointing the wrong way. Lucas from BBC Radio Stoke is joining us today. And welcome to the show, Lucas. I know I've said to you a couple of times, could you join us on Stoke Fan TV when I rang up or when you rang me or whatever for the radio and you finally you said yes, I managed to wear you down. So welcome to the
Um,
show, man.
I'm delighted to be on it with you finally, mate. We've picked the end of the season as the time to do it, which I'm not sure is a good idea because there's too many annoying things to talk about. But I'm glad to be here. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it is the end of the season, thank goodness. But I think in this today's pod, we're going to pick through what's gone wrong for Stoke this season. Because what a cracking start, wasn't it? And maybe a bit of a we'll do a bit of a roundup and kind of wrap the season up, and then maybe look forward to next season. Just that kind of thing today. But before we get into it, will you do us all a big favor? Hit like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment too. Why not? Get involved. Right. So, oh God, are you as relieved as I am, Lucas, that the season's over?
I'm delighted. I'm delighted when that final whistle went against Bristol City at Ashton Gate. That was one of the best feelings I've had the second half of the season. It's probably the most I've celebrated in the second half of the season as well. Just such a naff end to what was, as you said, like a really promising start. So you go from watching these teams bringing you joy and getting excited about what could be, and then all of a sudden Stoke are 17th, and it's a bit of a ridiculous sort of ending, really. So, yeah, relieved, mate, relieved.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's. I mean, imagine for yourself. Obviously, you're right in the thick of it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You see the ups, downs, lefts, and rights throughout the whole of the season, really. What did you notice? I don't know if we can pinpoint the exact moment, maybe when the season kind of went down. It felt like it was a bit of a like this trajectory. In fact, the stats kind of say that we did all right, and then we just being so close to the actual team and doing what you do. Did you notice a point where it all seemed you started to think, hang on, things are kind of on the dip, or was it just like a thing for you, like it was for everybody else? Because it felt for a lot of people like what has happened here? What's gone on?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the injuries are the thing you point to first, because I think that there is a case to be made from both parties saying it's been overplayed, but I think it is genuinely a reason as to why Stoke fell off. Um, I think that once it seemed less and less likely that a playoff push was possible, I just think the energy levels dropped, and I think it was. I felt for Mark Robbins. I personally feel for him because I think that there was a lot going against him in terms of, as I say, the injuries. I don't personally think that the players that came back from injury or that were left, not all of them, but some of them pulled the weight enough. And
Mm.
so I think you're at a point where the energy, the energy, the intensity, and the get up and go that Stoke was showing at the first half of the season, it just seemed to, as the results started to get worse and the performances started to drop as a result. I just think the heads dropped. How many
Mm.
times have we spoke about Stoke's head dropping over the course of the last couple of seasons? But
Mm.
I think heads dropped, and I think the frustration came not because it was like this all season, but because they'd shown that they can do it.
Yeah.
Players had shown that they could play it at a certain level, and I don't think a lot of players were playing at that same level. And I think it then, as a result, there was a catalyst. It made some of the ones that maybe were trying or wanted to try, it made them their levels drop, or they weren't able to sort of play with the same way because those around them weren't offering what they needed. So I think it was a mixed bag of reasons, really. Mark Robbins was the most telling thing to me because he goes from being this sort of, he's never the most sort of animated and eccentric sort of bloke, but his post match has got more and more sort of defeatist almost about
Right.
what he had. And I think to me that was quite telling because I was a bit thinking, you'd listen to his post matches on the radio when he speaks to Mark Elliott, the commentator, and you're thinking, God, he seems deflated by what he's got to work with here, which I think
Yeah.
is not good.
Yeah, that kind of like almost like demoralized by the whole
Yeah.
situation, and it must affect you, mustn't it? If you think you've got a squad, and some of your players, and not just any old players, is it? Some of your key players. I mean, we've had, just to name a few from this season, Victor Johansson, massive, biggest, probably one of the biggest injuries. Bosun Llewell, who, let's be fair, that centre back
Three
pairing
times.
at the start of the season, yeah, a couple of times. Shamadou. Let's be honest, and that right wing, he was one of the reasons I think that going forward we were so potent earlier on in the season, and that's just three. There's been so many, and we've been so unlucky with injuries this season. It is something that I think has really affected Stoke. One of the most depressing kind of stats is that we haven't finished above 10th for in the entirety of the championship, and that is a bit of a blow, isn't it? And what needs to change, do we think, at Stoke City now going forward? What do we need to do? For me, I think last season, in terms of what the positives from last season, what we've improved on, it's got to be the defence, hasn't it? Especially at the start of the season. In fact, we're still in terms of defenses, we're still in the top six
Yeah.
despite finishing in 17th. Did we finish in 17th? I'll lose track. Yeah, 17th. Despite finishing 17th, we're still in the top six. So that's not bad, is it? But I think for me, I'm going to get Lucas' thoughts on this in a second. For me, just the lack of ability to put the ball in the net again, right? Again. And um, yeah, I'll pull some stats up in it. What do you think, Luke? What is it for you that you think going forward? Oh, this is what we really need to improve. And it might be the same as me. It might be something different.
I don't think the midfield does enough. I don't think the
Right.
midfield has done enough. I think that's a big thing. I think as the season's gone on, I think the midfield's been played through a bit more. I think that's because the legend that he is, and he is a legend, Steven Nzonzi's legs were not cut out for playing. Was it
No.
30 plus games in the end? I think that was never meant to be the plan. That was never meant to happen. Um, Ben Pearson, I just think this, as the season's gone on, he's looked more and more sort of out of it. And we know that actually he is a solid, recognised championship midfielder. Like if Stoke signed Ben Pearson, you'd be like, wow, that's the sort of signing we need, a championship ready battling midfielder. So he's gone off the boil and off the pace.
Yeah.
Sacco is so hit and miss. He's so I mean, because he was at one point people going, he could be contender for player of the season. Like he had that purple patch
Yeah.
where he was good, he really good. And then he's an example, I think, for me, because I don't think you can say you can be not a fan of Sacco, which is I don't discourage anyone that isn't a Sacco fan, but he has proven that he can. I think I've seen him before. He has been able to progress the ball forward. It seems to me that when the team is playing with low confidence or with less fire in the bellies, if you will, he seems to be more afraid to pass the ball forward, and he's sort of more concerned with just keeping possession and passing it back to Ashley Phillips. And
Mm.
Ashley Phillips gets quite a bit of stick for passionate. As fantastic as he is as a defender, he's quite limited with his progressive play. He's a fantastic defender, so he's worth having in the team, by the way. But that's not his job. That's not what he's there for.
Mm.
And Wilmot, on the other hand, that is what he is there for. But you can see players like them that have had a lot of praise. They are limited in what they do when the team around them isn't making the runs, the energy's off, the right players aren't in the right positions. All those things have a factor. So Saka, I think Riga's had a mixed season as well. I think Riga,
Mm,
he's not looked.
tough for
I
him.
don't think he's ever surpassed maybe a 7 out of 10.
No,
But I think his potential goes beyond that. So I think he's someone that can. I don't quite know if he's been played right. I don't know what that is.
no.
And maybe he should be in place of a Baker. He's not a 10. I'll say Rigo is not a 10, and that's been the 10 has been the main issue for
Oh,
me.
go
Because
on, you
as much
first.
as well, as much as we all love Beijing Ho, because I think that
Mm,
for a time he was the player of the season under his first campaign, wasn't it?
towards the end of
The
it,
Alex
yeah, he
Neil,
started
the
to get
Alex Neil and Steven
just
Schumacher.
on that
Like,
inside left sort of thing. He'd drift in, and he was really, we thought,
Shuey
wow,
was
he's
the
going to
best thing that
score.
happened to him, wasn't it? Shuey was the best thing that happened to him, and then Palak came in. He came back from an injury. He never looked the same player. Mark Robbins just he isn't whatever Mark Robbins needs from his 10 or Mark Robbins coaching staff need from the 10. It ain't Beijing Ho. So he's never really offered. I don't think he suits whatever Mark Robbins is after, and I think that frustrates Mark Robbins. And then all of those things then lead up to the fact that the I don't know. I don't think that Gallagher, Mabama, Bojanic, Schmidt, Cisse, even though it's a square peg. Surely not all of those are bad strikers. Surely one of those in a better attacking team can provide the goals. I can't get on the idea that
Yeah.
of those. Surely on the chance of odds and
Oh,
everything
I did
that
a
that
list. I
they're.
did a list a couple of shows ago, and I listed off
You did it with me. I remember you doing it with me.
all the strikers that Stoke have had,
Yeah.
right, since we've been relegated.
There's
And
no
that was
way there
ages
that
ago.
there's no
Stoke is the
way.
retirement home for strikers.
Yeah.
They've come here just to retire. It may as well because no one really comes. I think we'd only had maybe like one or two that had scored above 10. I think it was
Yeah, Jacob
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 Brown.
Brown.
Yeah, there you go. So is this a striker problem? Because you do ask Stoke fans, don't you? You say, what does Stoke need to do to start improving?
Yeah.
We need a striker.
Well, and everyone says there's 20 goal a season striker, and like you say, I mean, we'd love it if Sam can dig one out of whilst he's out and about. I think that'd be ideal. But if we're
Yeah, dig
being
one up,
if
mate.
we're being if we're being realistic, um, it needs more than that. Like a striker can't just rely on their own goal. I have to. I'm not defending any of the strikers because I do think that they have lacked with what we need for one reason or another, be it fitness, be it uh, energy levels, be it,
Yeah.
putting themselves in better positions, be it confidence. I think confidence is a big factor. Um, I do wonder and worry where they're going to find that. And if they think they've got it in Schmidt, they need to give him a hell of a preseason, and they need to really go for it with him next year if he is signed. I just think that there's a number of factors that contribute to why Stoke aren't scoring enough goals. I think one of them is a striking issue, but I think that it just keeps seeping down and down and down into the rest of the team. And I think that the holes in the team have been shown as a result of the injuries and then I think, yeah, there's the lack of get up and go that they've shown in the last couple of months.
I mean, yeah, we could. I'm sure we could. I really want to delve into it. You want to spend about a day talking about why Stoke can't seem to score more
Mm.
goals. We're
Well, you're right
down
because you're
there.
right as well. You're right as well in that it's not just a Mark Robbins issue. It's not just a John Walters issue
No,
because Narcis Palak, for many reasons, couldn't get a tune out of many strikers. He had Tom Cannon, who obviously was, who could have been that, to be fair, which I think was why so many Stoke City fans pray for his return every single day. But, Shuey, Alex Neil, Michael O'Neill, Nathan Jones, Gary Rowett, like,
yeah.
not like, like this is an ongoing
We've
issue.
we've we've
This is
had
an
nearly as
ongoing
many
issue.
managers now as we've had strikers, and do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's getting like that. And what you are absolutely right. When we're trying to put our finger on it. I mean, I thought, right, maybe it's the fact because Coventry City this season, obviously they've been flying, haven't they? They've
Yeah.
had 745 shots in the league compared to Stoke's 521 shots. So by law of averages, you take more shots, you score more goals, right? So that was my theory. I thought, that's it. But Hull have only had 513 shots, and they're in the top six. So it can't just be the amount of shots we're taking. It's really tough, I think, to
Yeah.
put down exactly what it is. But I do think that number 10 thing you've brought up there, we've obviously spoken on the show, I've spoken on the show about, I think we need, basically, if we could get a drop of Liam Lawrence's blood and clone him a couple of times, for to come back, and a couple of him, because his kind of contribution in that promotion season when Stoke went up yonks ago was
Mm.
massive, massive, right? And it can't just be because without him, right? Sure, you had Ricky Fuller who was banging them in, right? But it weren't just him, so it can't just be the striker. Now this season, statistically, Sorba Thomas is the one. He's been up there with in terms of goals and assists, and he's like not twice as much as the
Mm.
next player, but he
Mm.
has been our shining light, I think, in an
Mm.
attacking sense, and even he towards the end of the season dipped off a little bit, didn't he? So I mean,
I think he did.
what's your thoughts been on, you're in and around, you've spoken to Sorba, probably, maybe.
I
And
have, yeah.
and I think do you think, be honest, do you think he'll stay at Stoke this summer because he's been our best attacking player? What are your thoughts, mate? Because he's a good player, isn't he?
I do. There's part of me that feels sorry for Sorba Thomas because he has been like you said, the shining light, and you see him getting frustrated because some of the opportunities that he presents these players are on a plate, and I think there's been different issues across the season in terms of scoring goals. I think there was a reluctance to get into the right area from a Divine Mubama or a Beijing Ho for
Mm.
a time. And then there was just this chopping and changing because he couldn't quite get the right formula. Divine Mubama's goals dried up pretty quick. His hold up play wasn't great.
Yeah,
His
it was
out of
weird,
possession
wasn't it?
wasn't,
It was
yeah, his out
really
of
weird
possession
with
wasn't great.
Obama.
Junho, if Junho was a bit bigger, he'd be a perfect 8. But I think as a 10, I don't think his output is good enough.
You've hit the nail on the head for me. Like, people think I'm crazy when I say that Beijing Ho would make a better central midfielder than he would have
Yeah,
done.
absolutely. No,
People
you're
think
onto
I'm
something.
nuts
No,
because
you're right.
how good is Beijing Ho at linking up play lower down the pitch? And do you know what the argument is for a lot of Stoke fans about Beijing Ho? They say, "Oh, he'll bring players in earlier on, and he'll almost like." I can't be doing them. I'll be honest, I can't be dealing with the assist for the assist for the assist argument,
Yeah.
man. Jesus, come on. But what he does do is he does drag the teams up the pitch.
Mm.
Brilliant,
He
great,
can
but
he
that's
can
not what we
beat the
need from
press.
him.
He can beat the press and he can get out of tight knit spaces. His ball control is great. Like that, and that's what makes him this amazing player. That this is I'm sure when you see these things in training, and I'm sure his data is actually pretty good.
Mm,
It's his final product, and his. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's just not his game. I don't know what it is, but there does seem to be an issue when Beijing Ho is in the box about making the right decision, finding the right pass, being there when he needs to be. But I'm
mm,
sure his data is pretty good. I'm sure that makes a big impact. But I think if he had the stature or the size to be a deeper midfielder, I think he'd be. I think it would suit his skill set a lot better. It's not the
mm.
sexiest position in the world, I'm sure, for him. If he's playing 10 or left wing, it's a bit more exciting. But that's where I think he'd have been better off. But yeah, the issue is you've not got a. He's not the sort of 10 that brings everyone into the game. I don't think that he's not that sort of dynamic where he's got the ball, he'll make his way into the box, he's got the confidence, he's got the swagger, he's got the ability, and he's got that final product that allows to bring in the striker. Or
Mm.
it allows someone like Manoff to get inside. I don't think that he's the sort of player that plays to the strengths of well, yeah, I guess Mubama, but Manhoff and Sorba Thomas. But then, so it goes back to the Sorba Thomas point of um, I think Sorba Thomas has created all of these opportunities and people haven't been able to, and that's where the striker issue comes in. That's where you go. If they did have a Tom Cannon or Ollie McBurney is a great example because you mentioned Hull about his ability to finish off those chances. You
Yeah.
don't know what the
Minute man.
quality of shots that he's having are, but those established strikers that are confident that know the division that are conditioned to play at that intensity and that level, will take advantage of someone like Subba Thomas a little bit more. So should Subba Thomas stay? Should he go? I think that he's going to have one eye on what the market's saying.
Hmm.
I think that he has got the raw ability to play at a Premier League level. I think he's
Yeah.
got it. I think he's got the skill sets. I think he's ready to be tested at that level. I think he's the only player to get uh, 10 plus goals and assists, as in 10 plus goals, 10 plus assists. I think. Um, so he's clearly got the stats to back it up. The eye test proves that. I'm sure his data is amazing. So all these things, whether you're a
Yeah.
data led department, whether you're a just a pure vibes, whether you're that,
I like that.
or just a stat man, all of those things he is good enough for. So, and I think is he 27, 28? He's going to be sniffing for that. This might be his last chance. There's no guarantee he'll put those numbers up in the championship next year if Stoke, continue to decline.
Yeah.
It's too risky for someone like him to stay at Stoke. So I think this is the best chance for Stoke to fetch a pretty penny. And you can't say, he might not want to admit it, but you can't say that he doesn't deserve a chance, a currently bigger team, a
Yeah.
side in the Premier League that are established. Because if you went it's the same with Victor Johansson. I think with those star players at Stoke, if any of them went to another championship team, I'd be a bit peed off because I think that Stoke, if they get it right, like with a Hull one season or a Millwall one season or a Bristol City last season or a not, they are well and truly capable of finishing a playoff spot.
Mm.
They could even do a Coventry if they got enough things right over enough period of time. So I don't think there's enough reason for a star player to want to leave unless the contract is better if his contract's ending. But I don't think they should be selling. They should be selling Victor Johansson to a rival. I don't think there's any need to. But if a Premier League team starts calling, I'd go, yeah, I think that's fair, and they've got more money, and I think if the money is the right amount, I think it could benefit all parties. So is it better if he stays? Absolutely, because there's absolutely no guarantee with this team that
Yeah.
they'll replace him properly.
Yeah.
Um, if he goes, you're fetching some good money, and then maybe you've got more luxury to spend on those championship ready players or players that are a little bit further along in the development than the likes of. And actually, I like these players. That's why I'm bringing them up. But the likes of Rigo and Cisse, who probably need a bit more time than
Mm.
maybe let's just pluck a name out again, Tom Cannon
Yeah.
or a McBurney. So there's a an opportunity that selling him provides that keeping him doesn't.
Well, we'll see what happens with Sorba. We think Sorba, thank goodness he's contributed what he has to
I
Stoke
dread to
this
think.
season because without him, we'd be real struggling. And this is telling, isn't it? When you look, you can't do any good in a league, can you? When one of your front four, most games is the only one really who's consistently putting in performances. I'm not saying that the other players haven't done well at times. I'm not saying that they're bad players. I just think that for a team to progress and a team to be challenging for top six, you need more than just one of your players, don't you? And I think for me, that is where Stoke have fallen down this season. We've mentioned Beijing Ho, Million Manhoof. He's blown hot and cold. He's had his injuries again. He's had some troubles. As we've listed, Mubama, Smith, not and then Bosnick, but poor Bosnick hurt his shoulder. But even without that, he doesn't come across like a player that's prolific, that's going to be banging in goals all of the time. And then Cisse, he's positive for me this season. I'm happily surprised by what Cisse's done at Stoke, but he's raw, still raw, and he.
I agree.
So I mean, that's Stoke's top half of the pitch, and if Sorba's to go, Stoke need to really look at recruitment, and really look at what we can do in the summer because next season is, you mentioned the midfield, Lucas. we have
That
got
needs
in
that
that
needs
midfield
reapproaching.
is, who's going from that midfield? We're guessing Nzonzi's going. We think definitely, probably.
Mm.
Don't know about Ben Pearson. Don't know about Baker. So I mean, how
But
much we've missed? What's his face from last season, haven't we? He went off to Hoffenheim.
Berger,
We've missed Berger from last
I would
season, haven't we?
agree. I definitely agree. I think he'd have been amazing.
He's done
I
really
think
well at Hoffenheim, hasn't
he has, yeah. I think Baker's going, by the way.
he? Do you?
I think the fact he'd barely played in those final, I don't think he played at all in the final two games, and at the Millwall game, he wasn't at his best. I think he's gone. I think he's not getting another contract. I don't know if it's a bad thing or not because of his injury record, but I think that he has to be replaced properly because what he does offer is what no other midfield offers. And again, I think Baker's better as an 8 than he is as a 10 because again, it's one of those players that can at least carry the ball and he's an extra attacking option rather than just relying on the 4. I think when you've got Nzonzi and Pearson or even Seko in midfield next to an Nzonzi or a Ben Pearson, you are limited a little bit more because Seko doesn't have that in his locker to carry the ball. He can pass the ball, carry the ball is a different thing.
What
Saka's
I
probably
liked
better
about
next to like a
Seko,
box to box sort of player. Yeah,
what
go
I
on.
liked about Seko, right? Even though, like you've said earlier on, he's got his critics. What I
Yeah.
liked about Seko and what I liked about him, especially when he first come in, was he was happy to receive the ball and he was just like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And I like that about him. And he has that tenacity in him. And that's why I think that he had that moment in time where he had that pub patch and I think he won like player of the month. And to be honest,
Yeah,
even
I think
last
so.
season when he was playing with Berger, those two were working really well together. Because like Berger would like push on and they'd like swap and change. Did a video showing the how that worked. And then is it just too much squad rotation in that set? Do we have too many players in that central midfield? Baker's a massive miss though when he went down when he got injured. You noticed that was another one of those injuries that really
Mm.
affected that season, don't you think?
Uh, Baker was a big loss, but again, if they don't think that Baker can play half of the season, that's probably why they wanted to get rid of him. Again, they're quite data led. So what's the data saying about his availability? And because data isn't just his stats, data is, data takes into everything into consideration. How much will he play? How often will he be able to play 90 minutes? Those sort of things. So if they haven't offered him a deal, and we're doing this chat before the retain list comes out, and it'll be quite telling if it says we offered him a contract or he's just been released.
Yeah. When does that
Um,
come out? Just out of curiosity.
I don't actually know. It should be anytime soon. It should be this week. So this is what I'm saying. It
Yeah.
may be out when we put this out. They clubs can delay it for as long as they want. I think they delayed it last year from memory too. Um, but he's one that I think it's okay if he goes. Have you got the right replacement? And I think that he, because of his output and because of what he offers to the team, that needs to be a really. I think the midfield, they're two really important positions. A more defensive midfielder, and like a box to box who can carry the ball forward as well.
Mm,
More mobile midfielder. Someone that can carry the ball, someone that can cover the ground. Two different midfielders there, but they're important. And then you're getting towards a creative 10. You need that too.
yeah.
And then but things you're right. Look, we're at the same position again where we go, oh, no, this needs a bit more of an overhaul than we thought. So again,
It
you
feels
sort of
like it.
again you're looking at who should stay and who shouldn't stay. Someone like Ben Pearson, he's got a year left, but is he running out of steam now as a player? Is sort of he maxed out on what he can do at the championship already? Have we seen the best of him? Is that true? I don't know. Ben Gibson's been hit and miss in terms of availability.
Yeah.
Sam Gallagher hit and miss in terms of his availability. These are all players that have got 1 year left. They're on a lot of money. Probably three of the highest earners, I would say. Do you need to maybe say thank you, but we need to leave it there and give the
Yeah,
opportunities elsewhere?
it's a tough. Some of the ones you just mentioned. Obviously, we've spoken about midfield, and we've kind of dissected that a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe just a case in point for it. I think Baker might stay. I think they might offer him another 1 year, only because to replace him with somebody that's
Well,
going
I
to do the
agree.
same thing, especially from dead ball situations. If he's fully fit, he's probably him and Sorba best dead ball specialists in the team. And anyone else better than him? I can think
If
of.
he's no, not in the squad. If he's fully fit, and they believe they can get a good, they're mad if they don't offer him a contract. If they believe, I mean, they'll know exactly what his body's capable of. They'll have all the data, all the stats, all the everything, all the evidence. If they believe that he can play more than half a season, I think he's worth another contract.
Yeah,
If they don't, then I think they'll say goodbye, because I think again he's another high earner. But he is, when fit, one of my favourite players in the Stoke shirt for sure, for
absolutely.
sure.
We've mentioned the midfield and we've mentioned the strikers. I think we have to remain positive about the defence this season. Come on, because let's be honest, what Stoke weren't. I mean, we haven't been awful in terms of defending over the last few seasons. We haven't been awful. But one of the things is last season wasn't great at all, was it? I felt last season we really struggled. This season, under Mark Robbins, the defence, for the most part, despite all of the injuries, has been pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me is a positive, because when you consider the amount of injuries we've had across that back line, the fact that, we've had to resort to playing Creswell at left centre back, and yet he had an injury as well. I mean, that does show that we've struggled there, haven't we? What do you think
Mm-hmm.
to our defence and that kind of situation? Has that been something that's you feel is positive, or do you think, oh, it's another 50-50 thing? Started off well, petered out.
I think you're right. It didn't peter out because the players weren't up to. I think it petered out because the chopping and changing that he had to do, the
Mm.
lack of availability. I think every player in defence has had at least one great game. I don't think you can say that for sure about other players, but I think every player in defence has had a great game. Cresswell, the way he started the season was fantastic. Should we start next season with him as the first choice left back? No, because he's
No.
36, 37. If he can play another season, he's out of contract as well, of course. If he can play
Yeah,
another season, he might have triggered another year though. I think I'm not too sure. I don't know if that was a rumor. I don't know if it was true, but he's worth having around because as well he's actually a good presence in the dressing room. He's got that Premier League experience. He's got that leadership experience. He's won something. He's gone all the way with West Ham, I think, didn't he, for the Conference League?
Yeah.
So he's definitely worth keeping around. Shouldn't be starting. I like Bocat. Do I like Bocat enough as a starting left back? I'm not sure,
Prefer him
because
as
I
a left
think
wing back.
that, well, this is it. So if that's maybe if they want to go left wing back, the left back situation sorted, because you just play him at left wing back because he's going to be
Mm.
mint. But if they don't want to do that, if they want to stick to a back four, which I think they will, then there's a question mark about what you do with Eric Bocat. Um, or do you recruit a third left back, which is what I think they were linked with Harry Amas, weren't they?
Yeah.
Right back, they need, even if it is a Cresswell type at right back, they
It's a
need to,
backup.
they cannot afford to do that again. I
Yes.
thought I get what at the start of the season, and I called it, that they'd use Bosun the Wall as the backup right back. But
Maxi at
one thing I couldn't have called, yeah, Maxi at one point, one thing I couldn't have called was that Bosun Lawal's hamstring is not cut out to play at right back, because I think that's three times he had to play there and three times he's pulled up. Borough, Charlton, and Wrexham, I think, were the three times. His body cannot play there, which I
no.
think is another reason why midfield might not be, it might be nice to see him there, but is his body capable of playing it? Maybe in the future it will be. Maybe if he has to adapt to the way that he looks after himself and trains. But currently, he has not got the capabilities to play
I'd
right
agree
back
with
as a
that. He's
even as
box
a
to box if
backup
his
to
body lets
Shelton.
him. It's box to box if
If
his
it's
body lets him.
if it yeah, and that is a big if, I think, right now. So I don't think it's proven that it can over the time at his time at Stoke so far. So you need a backup. Am I sold on the idea that the centre backs will all be here next season? I'm not. Wilmot's got a year left. Um, and well, his contract expires, but again, we don't know if that's going to get triggered for he's got that automatic 1 year extension. I think they'll trigger that. And if Ben Wilmot leaves on a free,
Most
I
improved
don't,
player this season.
fantastic. I mean, he
Most
was player of the
improved.
season under Alex Neil and Michael O'Neill that season, wasn't he, as well? So I think he
Yeah.
had a bit of a drop off, and then I think genuinely, I think he would have been would have been the player that would have pushed Sorba Thomas the furthest if he'd have stayed fit for player of the season. Not, I don't
Mm.
think he ever would have got it because I think Silver Thomas was a no-brainer in the end. But I think he would because I think he was playing that well at times, and he's got strengths that other defenders in the back line do not have. I mean, his diagonal balls are excellent. They're
Yeah,
excellent. Um, Ashley Phillips is limited in what he can do with progressing the ball, but he is a fantastic defender.
good in the
And if
air.
he can, yeah, I think so. I think the only thing he needs to work on is
Good in the
attacking heading.
air. Yeah.
And then I think we're onto something with him. But he's boasting the wall, immense at centre back. Mark Robbins described him on Radio Stoke the first I think it was the first home pre-season against Wolves. He called him Beckenbauer-esque. I mean,
Nice.
tongue in cheek, yes, but what a comparison. And he did play like that with the way he can progress the ball forward from defence. He's good at that. Boast Noir's amazing. He'll still be here, but where is his future? It should be a centre back for me.
Yeah.
If Tottenham don't go down, which again right now is an if,
50-50.
I'd be I'd be putting some money in for Ashley Phillips because I just think he's happy here. He's a northern boy. I think he's from Manchester way. So I think he's even got a place around Manchester, not too far from Stoke. So,
Yeah.
he likes being home. I think he is a bit of a home bird as well. So I know that's important to him. So I think that he'd be a fantastic option. And I don't think he'd cost 12, 15 million. I think he would be something like 4, 5, 6 million. So I think an absolute, if you can get him. I think again it depends on how the season ends in the Premier League. There's a question mark around Talavirov, I think, because
I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. I think
I don't know
like
if we ever will. And that's not to say he's not up to. I don't know if he's going to stick around. I don't know if he's got
really.
the. Well, is he happy being fourth
Well,
choice?
no, that's true. You got a very good point. And to be fair, when he was at Plymouth, he was almost like the big fish at Plymouth. He was
Yeah,
that.
and
He
there
was
was
that. He was
rumours.
that. He was that good for him.
There was rumors. I don't know if these are true. So this isn't me saying this as an absolute because I've no idea. There were rumors that he was holding out for, and this is speculation, holding out for an even bigger move because he thought he was up to that challenge. So if he isn't the number one centre back at Stoke City, he's not going to be happy with that.
No,
So I would say watch that one with interest
I
because
felt a bit
if
bad
they
for him. When he was
well,
play when he
he was
came
probably
on
he
at
probably
right
was
back that
promised
one time.
he was probably promised to be the starting centre back. I imagine the idea was Wilmot and Talavirov. And
Then and then
then he
Phillips come
wasn't
back.
fit. Phillips comes back. No one was expecting that. And I
I
don't
just
think anyone was expecting Lawal to play at centre back, but because Phillips wasn't ready and Talavera wasn't ready, Lawal plays amazing, and then he's first choice. So currently, with those all fully fit, he's probably fourth choice defender.
he is. But this is it. The reason I felt bad for him was when he played that right back in that game, and he had an absolute blinder, and then he
Portsmouth,
got
wasn't
dropped
it?
for the next game. I mean,
Yeah,
can you imagine coming on getting like man of the match first proper game for Stoke, and then you don't play? You'd be gutted, wouldn't you? You'd
yeah.
be raging.
And he's young, and I think he's got confidence. I think he's a confident guy. So I think that he backs himself, and I think he thinks I'm better than this. I'm better than a fourth choice centre back,
Yeah,
a 17th place championship team. And to be fair, he probably is. And I think there have been times where he has shown, like that game against Portsmouth at right back, where that he doesn't like playing right back. I think he's almost said that in the press.
yeah.
So he doesn't want to be a right back. He doesn't want to be a fourth choice centre back. So I would be I'd be watching that one closely because I think that there's every chance that he might there's every chance
I'd be a bit
that he
gutted,
might go.
really. I'd be
Yeah,
gutted.
I would, but
Do you think Max is going to stay? Do you think he might be on his way then? I mean, it's quite. If he's the fourth choice centre back, that's assuming that we'd get Phillips back, which is no guarantee. Even if he's the third choice centre back, he won't want that, would he?
no, I think he wants to be the main guy. From
Sure.
my brief interactions with him, from hearing about him, from seeing what he has been like at previous clubs. He wants to be the main guy, and I don't think he'll take Callum to being fourth choice. I also don't think that Stoke need another right. If they were to bring in Ashley Phillips, which I think they should, if they can, they should. I think that they should maybe. It's all dependent on Ashley Phillips. If Ashley Phillips goes, then you try
Ah,
and convince Maxi to stay. If he doesn't come back, if Ashley Phillips stays, you probably sell Maxi because Maxi will go, I ain't being fourth choice. I don't think that's a bad thing because you've not got in the side bar Ben Gibson, who I don't, as much as I really like the guy, I don't think he's got a long-term future of the football club. To me, they've not got a natural left-footed centre-back that could start most games.
Yeah.
So I think they need to look in that market at a left-footed centre-back that will slot in nicely in the Championship. They don't have to be a starter because Ben Wilmot's played very well at left centre-back, but I don't think that it is it's something that Stoke possess someone with a natural ability there. So for me, I'd be looking at a left centre back.
I mean, we've mentioned Chamadou quickly. I think Chamadou's for what he's played, he's done quite well. Obviously, it was really unfortunate going to AFCON. He had a good AFCON, didn't he? And then to get injured like he did. So he's been kind of good at the start, but then getting his injury. But I think he'll stay, and I like Chamadou. I think he's a good player. But as you've already mentioned, we could do with getting somebody in at right back to push him. Now, this is just as a general thing, just to kind of summarize all these things we've just been speaking about right now in terms of players and stuff. Yes, we've had our injuries at Stoke City this season. Yes, it has been fundamental in the decline of Stoke City from, the start of the season flying and then. But how much does this tell? How telling is it that the players that then come in to replace those injured players haven't necessarily been what we need? Do we need a bit of an overhaul at Stoke now? Do we need a load of people to come in? It's kind of you think back to the start of the season, you wouldn't be thinking like that, would you? But as the
No.
season's played out, is that kind of telling? Do we need to now bring in what 10,
Mm.
12? I don't know. It's Stoke fans. Let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think, Lucas? Do we really need that? I mean, what we've just spoken about, it's quite interesting. We're talking about all the players that might be leaving, all the players that we've got on 1 year contracts, all the players that are getting too old to play. And it's a little bit concerning, isn't it?
Yeah. Um,
I mean, we've got some young players, obviously, as well, and we've got some
if
academy
if
players. But
Mark
are they
Robins
good enough?
stays, if Mark Robins stays, I think one thing that I would say I don't
If
think he
if he
is as
stays,
keen
hang
on.
on a minute, hang on. I've got to pull you up there. If he stays, do you think?
I
I
think
mean,
there's a debate. I don't know anything. I think
come
there's a
on, come
debate
on,
that
come on. So
there's a debate
obviously, there's
there.
been there's been a few people saying Robbins. I'm not sure about Robbins. Really?
I
You
think, by
can't
the
be
way,
serious, can you?
I think he's got to stay. To be
Me
clear,
too.
I think because I don't know who else is out there that would have either Stokes' best interest. Because I think Stokes a little bit of a if it doesn't work out, if it works out, I become a hero. If it doesn't work out,
Get a good
then
payout.
I get a good payout. And I'm worried about how much of a reputation Stoke has for that. And I don't think you can question a lot of things about Mark Robins as a manager if you want to. I don't think that's Mark Robins' style. I think
No.
you see how loyal he was at Coventry. Mark Robins isn't the kind of person to go, oh, just stay until I take a pay cut. I think it's gonna really annoy him that Stoke have collapsed the way that they have. It's gonna annoy him.
Yeah,
So I think you need to. That could be a benefit because I think that could fuel him for with Stoke next year, and I think he could be a little bit more forthright and assertive. Not that he wasn't already with someone like John Walters and the recruitment department to go. Actually, no, 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 because you got me that last time, and that was not good enough. I want
yeah,
this. I
yeah,
want this. And if the fans are loud enough about backing Robbins, then I think the club will have to hear that and go, okay. But and then if it doesn't go to plan, then Robbins has to down his sword. He sort of has already by saying he's going to have the final say on transfer of the summer. So could be the sword that he dies on. But I think that and this chopping and changing, it cannot continue because I get people get fed up about the same old, because it's been the same old with different managers. I personally wonder where Stoke would be, and this is going to go down one way or another with people. If Michael O'Neill stayed, if he stayed for an extra season with that budget, rather than letting Ricky Martin open the treasure chest and go, "Oh, I can spend all this." So I think that's
Smaug.
yeah.
Treasure. Listen. Okay, I was. It's weird. It's like a telekinetic energy passing over from brain to brain. I was literally about to say, ain't there shades of O'Neill? Yeah, with
Absolutely.
this, ain't there shades of it? And surely we've learnt our lesson, right?
Mm.
Surely we have, because let's be fair,
Have they?
O'Neill, right? Sure, okay, it was kind of, but we've probably had our best seasons with O'Neill, man.
No, I don't. I
So,
think he's the only manager to get more than 60 points since they've come
mm,
down.
yeah,
Um, and I'm not saying he was always going to be the answer, but he was building something. One thing that doesn't ever get seen, and I've heard it so many times from so different people since, the culture that Michael O'Neill and Dean Holden had brought to that football club was incredible.
mm,
Everyone loved to turn up to work. And I believe that that is something that Walters will be aiming for and Robbins will be aiming for. And they are not toxic people. They're going to have the same um, wanting there of a good atmosphere. But that took time. But Michael O'Neill was able to bring a good atmosphere. Now, you're never going to see that as a fan. You're just not. I didn't know about that until I started working on Stoke City games. You're never going to know that until you are amongst it. But the atmosphere that Michael O'Neill brought in was amazing. And then by tearing up and bringing in another guy, you go, all right, because as the manager or as a sporting director, you are the culture setter.
yeah,
So you need to make sure that you're all aligned and all bring, and then that needs, if there are any differences between Walters and Robbins, they need to be ironed out, and there needs to be one solid culture that is set across the football team, which I think that there is a better chance of that happening if those two work together and work together well than going, bye Mark, bye John, let's try this again, and let's
and
keep, because
let's
people that
rinse and
work at the
repeat
football
it.
club aren't just people that work on the footballing side of things. They work in the academy, they work in safeguarding, they work in commercial, and there has to be a little bit of togetherness, and there can't be togetherness if it's like if podcasting or radio presenting. If you've got a different co-host every week, you're like, we're never going to bring in
Yeah,
the right dynamic. And the same with any job. You could apply that logic to any job. I think naturally, and I get it, people want change because they're fed up of seeing the same old, same old. They go, well, let's just keep throwing stuff in the wall until it sticks, which could work. I mean, it's worked at times for Chelsea. It's worked at times for Watford. Right now,
let's
you
go,
say
haven't
for
we?
neither it's worked, but at times that works. But I think there's value in sticking with something, and I think there's value in maybe seeing if it look if it starts to fall to pieces again come December, then we all go. Those that were saying Robin's in go, all right, yeah, fair enough. But I just think that there is a risk at just keep trying to chop and change. And I think that there's a real division within the fan base now about
It's a shame. It's a
about
shame,
about
really.
who should stay and who should go. And that
Yeah,
is a
and I think
shame.
that applies, like you've just mentioned, I think that applies to John Walters as well. And I don't think some fans haven't gotten over what happened with Steve Schumacher there. But like, here's the thing with Robbins, to bring it back to Robbins, just to well, kind of wrap it. I know thanks for staying watching, everybody. If you've made it this far, you should definitely subscribe. Right, okay. But like, here's the thing, just my kind of parting thing with Robbins. Sure, there has been some times with some of his substitutions and maybe some of his tactics, which to me has baffled me a little bit, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've thought, oh, head's gone a little bit. But that's no different to any manager I've watched. Some of even the best managers, I've gone, what's he doing there? Why has he brought him on? That's other teams as well, international games, yada yada. I mean, people were saying obviously, why are you playing Sorba Thomas at right back? And that was one of the questions. But then for me, I was looking at it thinking, well, Sorba Thomas is one of the best crossers. So when you talk about attacking players and your attacking options, and you look at playmakers, other right backs from other times, right wing backs, Trent Alexander-Arnold being a prime example of somebody who's very effective at getting the ball in the box from that position. And he's strapped for right backs, and he's probably thinking, well, Sorba can cross in. There's going to be tactical things that don't necessarily make sense to
There's
you.
always there's always method to the madness, and also Suber Thomas is one of the few wingers that tracks back.
Well, yeah,
So he's probably one of the few people that you can go, if I play him at right back, he will track back at least.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
another reason why. And he is the best player. And do you want to see him at right back? No.
No,
But
you don't.
for the sake of the team and the setup, you might have to play him there.
But if that's all it is, there's a couple of things, and you can't. I don't think you can. We can do another chop and change. Not right now, because when you look at to bring it back to the players we're going to bring in, the players. Like when you look at the group of players and you look at the position we've had this group of players in, and you look at where we've been in the league for the past X amount of seasons with the amount of managers that we've had. And let's be fair, Stoke, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Stoke have made some terrible managerial appointments, in my opinion, since we've been relegated. Some terrible ones. This is one of the better ones. So, I just want a little bit of stability there. But as I said, some of the players, for me, good championship players, but we need players that are kind of could potentially look at playing in the Prem, I think, to take us
Mm-hmm.
up the league.
I think
So
there's no harm in recruiting to go because the argument is if you just bring like so Derby, if they don't go up in the next few years, they spent a lot of money on a lot of players that will bring them no value. So it's a risky strategy. And I would argue that there's probably I would agree that there's probably less risk when you bring in Thomas Rigo, uh, Lamine Cisse, even maybe Milan Schmidt, even though he went for championship standards quite a hefty fee. Um, in that you can probably sell him for at least what you bought him, and then I don't know if amortization works with squad cost ratio, and that's all getting into the
that's
depths
been
of football
shadowed,
finance.
isn't it? That's weird.
Yeah, that might happen. It's happened in the Premier League. It might happen. I don't know when that even comes out in that ruling, but that's a bit of a frustration because you want to plan ahead. But it's more sustainable to do what Stoke are doing, but there is less chance of immediate success as a result. So I think a good mix. I don't mind seeing the odd um, Uzbekistani centre midfielder coming in, as long as there's also a jobbing third team in the championship sort of midfielder to go alongside. You know what I mean? You've got to
I
build a
completely
squad.
agree.
You've got
It's
to pad out a
balanced.
squad. And you can't ask the point that's been made to me by a few people before is that you can't expect Lamine Cisse, Milan Schmidt, Thomas Rigo, Robert Bojanic to go, welcome to a new city and a new culture and a new lifestyle, and you go get the ball rolling straight away. And you live, by the way, you're living in a flat in Hanley for the next couple of weeks until we get your house sorted.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that, and you know, all these things have got to adjust to, as well as also understanding what is needed in the championship. So you have to give them a little bit of leeway, and you have to go, look, if some of these players are still naff next season, then you go, "Wow, that was a bad," and one or two of them will be
Mm.
because you know you are. This is a risk in its own way, but there's got to be a balance. I think there needs to be a little bit more of some championship experience, and then maybe these players that you mentioned, maybe these players that are not up for it right now, but could grow into something better.
Mm.
So let's hope that this transfer window, with a bit more money to spend because of potentially the change to the rules,
We'll see.
with the 3 year cycle ending after Alex Neil and Ricky Martin splurging all the cash, and maybe selling a few players like Sorba Thomas, yeah, like Sorba Thomas.
Yeah.
And Junho and Milimanov might fetch a penny or two. So, you know, there's a potential chance to have a budget to play with this summer.
I think what we should do, Lucas, is we'll see how the summer pans out, and there's
Mm-hmm.
this little thing called the World Cup in amongst that as well too. So all that, yeah, no, so we can all be depressed, but watching that too. But like literally, once it's all kind of, I think we should reconvene at the start of the
Yeah, up
season,
for it.
and we should
Up for it.
say where are we at, because it's I predict a summer of change at Stoke City. And I hope it's not in certain areas, but I predict it will be in quite a few areas.
Yeah, I think
Player
you've
wise, I
nailed
predict
it.
a summer change. It was pleasant. It was pleasantly surprising to see Victor Johansson sign a contract, but we haven't touched on him, but we haven't got all day. But like, do you know what I mean? I think it could be a summer of change at Stoke City, and hopefully come. I mean, there was a lot of optimism, to be fair, at the end before this season started.
Yeah.
Wherever we can get that back, I think the only way we can get that back, personally, is we see a few talisman, the kind of players coming in and would start to get Stoke fans excited, because you only need a flicker at
Mm.
times of Stoke
To trigger excitement.
to trigger top six expectation. So,
Yeah.
you needed a flicker. But
I tell you,
that's probably where I sit to personally.
we need to push the season to one side, go and enjoy Haiti versus Morocco, and take a break, take a breather, and then we can all come back and see what Stoke do in the off season as the season starts to come closer, pre-season signings and all that. Then maybe some excitement can build again. But I think a well earned Stoke City break is due. I think, or at least a well earned break from this season that was.
I completely agree. And what's kind of weird, I say, just as a final thing, I think just to finish off was when you look at last season, we're fighting relegation for a good portion of the season. You get to the summer of last season, everyone's going, "Oh, next season, top six, man, top six." And you're like, we've been fighting relegation. You know, they signed Sorba Thomas and he had a couple of good games for the Welsh team. And everyone's going, "Oh, brilliant, Sorba Thomas. Look at the players we're bringing in. We're going to do brilliant." This season, we've spent a good portion of the start of the season in the top half of the table. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah,
everyone's going,
yeah.
"Oh man, next season we get relegated."
I do
You know, it's
I do
weird.
think
So funny, man.
If Stoke had kept at least one, I don't know if they'd ever got playoffs, but I do think if you Johanssons or a Shamadou or a Baker, even one of those, not all three, if one of those or Wilmot stayed fit for the season, I think Stoke would have been in a better position. I'm not saying playoffs, but they would have been
Top 10, maybe.
Where Norwich and Birmingham are easy. Yeah, I do think that. So I think that is something to hold on to as well. I think this season was not. It won't have. The injuries have made this season far worse than it could have been. I don't know if they ever would have got playoffs, but I think they would have got a healthier 10, 11, 12. I think they could have got top half because that middle of the table's naff.
Yeah. And next season, don't forget, we're going to have the extra playoff places to play for,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
we could boost things as well. Let's not
But
forget.
it will mean there's more to play for towards the end of the season because you're closer to a
Absolutely.
playoff place.
Absolutely.
So there's hope. There's hope.
So let's summarize. No,
Yeah.
we've got an extra long show today, but let's summarize. So what does Stoke need to do next season? Well, currently, I think we need to keep the manager, right?
I
That's
would
what
say so.
we agree. What do you think? Where else are we going next? We need some. What we need a new number 10, maybe another couple of wingers and a
Uh,
striker. I don't know.
oh God.
Just to
If I
summarize, what you think?
top of my head,
New
backup
number 10.
keeper, right back, left centre back, left back, three midfielders, a 10,
Oh my
another
God,
winger,
it's
a
like the
striker.
generation.
We're
It's
at
like the
10.
generation game. It's gonna be cuddly toy, cuddly
Yeah.
toy. Right, okay.
I think we're at 10. I think you were all right when you pulled a number out 10 or 10 to 12 signings, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. We just if we just get somebody, I don't know. Again, the blood thing, the cloning thing, Liam Lawrence.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like we're onto it. I think we're onto a winner.
If half of those signings are uh Sorba Thomas level,
Quality. Oh my God.
then we're in for a good season.
Then we're in for a good season.
If the
We'll
spine
see.
gets sorted, we're onto something.
Right. What do you think, Stoke fans? Let us know in the comments. I'm going to change my background to something more appropriate. There we go. We're there again. We're back on the beach, and we'll see how many more podcast episodes we do going in throughout the summer. Again, so summer. It's the death of this kind of content. Domestic content. It's going to be all about the World Cup, isn't it? But are you into that? I don't know. Let us know what you think Stoke Fan TV should do over the summer. I just want to give a huge thanks to Lucas to coming on the show with us today. Lucas, thanks so much for coming on, mate. I really appreciate your thoughts. It's nice to interview you for a change.
Yeah.
So,
I enjoy doing it, mate. So thank you for asking me to come on with you. And hopefully it's been of interest to people.
but where can they listen to you, I should say?
Oh, Radio Stoke's fine. Radio Stoke is. We're on Monday to Friday across the week, 6 till 7. Obviously, when the season restarts, will be match days. We start if a game's at 3 o'clock, we start at 2 on the radio with the build up, and then of course we're on afterwards for praise and grumble. So there's plenty of Stoke City content to go around on the radio, and as well with you boys and everyone else too.
Fantastic. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's a goodbye from me,
Goodbye from me.
and it's a goodbye from him. And what's that, Sorba, mate? What's that? Yeah, another rum. Sounds good. He's staying.
You go get
On
the
the
suntan
beach.
out.
Go on, Stoke.